Yo, Mo, man, I feel like you were just waiting uh for that. Welcome to the stream. I don't know, dude. I listen, Courtney and I are gonna talk about all this stuff, I guess. Just know I have no game plan. But Courtney will be here in the next like 15 minutes. So that way we could talk about like AEW and stuff like that. Um and Mo, thank you for being a member for 1 month, man. I truly appreciate it. From the bottom of my heart, I appreciate it. I just haven't told anybody else yet that we're live because I want to make sure that everything behind the scenes is pretty good. Um, I could even add my products for you guys to like buy my merch. But right now, I want to tell the world that I am live. Um, this is not what I wanted. Yeah, I know. I know you just got here. I appreciate you just getting here. I'm not used to that, if that makes sense, okay? I'm not used to I'm not used to it. Okay. This is not what I wanted to this is what I want. Hit that like button if people are just coming on in and everything like that. Welcome to those that are watching right now. It's going to be a very fun um I guess a very fun day because it's not obviously it's not scripted. None of my stuff is scripted. Why am I not being able to get the link? There we go. Um, and if you guys have like any topics that we think that we should cover, throw them in the chat. Hopefully, I remember. Um, hopefully I remember. Um, I'm just putting it on social media and whatnot. Okay, so I really do miss you guys though, and I appreciate you guys coming on like short notice to hang out with us and talk about wrestling and talk about AEW and try to make sense of I guess AEW and like New Japan and what's happening with that. Um, I have been like behind the scenes building something new with like new ideas and new content or the first steps to wanting to get new content. So I just haven't really been paying too much attention to wrestling, just whatever Twitter tells me and whatever my wonderful community tells me. But as you can tell, I did not watch Best of the Super Juniors. I didn't even review Best of the Super Juniors just because New Japan is not going in the right way for them to be profitable. New Japan is not going in the right way for them to be as great as they should be. Still aligning themselves with AEW is not a good thing still. And it just, it's like you guys are doing everything sort of wrong in a way for the short term gain rather than the long term gain, if that makes sense. Like to have New Japan Strong shows every single month, but like you barely crack 2,000 people in a very huge arena that requires more people, and then there's not really good marketing, and then there's not really good story, and then it's like the same people, and then they have to go borrow from AEW, where it's like those people don't need to be there. New Japan Strong was all about showing the younger talent, and what stories they could create, and the ones that couldn't get a spot over in Japan, and you allow them to cultivate and grow over here in the States, where you can definitely mold them into something else, and then they could go somewhere else. Suji is right that if he doesn't get the respect that he deserves whenever he's here in America, and or the respect that New Japan Strong needs to get, then he shouldn't be working those shows. All this time calling Gabe Kid, David Kid, Dave Kid, boy. Oh, really? You call it happens. It happens the same way that like my brain will say Gabriel Kid because that just flows off the tongue very well, but Gabe Kid, I have to like really switch my brain to be like, yo, it's Gabe Kid. But those are just like my fast thoughts on like why I haven't reviewed New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, when they reveal who's going to be in the G1 tournament, I'm going to have to make a decision there. I do not know who they're going to review in the G1 tournament. And it better not be like mostly AEW guys, because it's like it's a New Japan tournament. If you want AEW guys there to succeed and get over, they have to like be there for like a good tour and a half. They can't just be like, oh yeah, we're gonna throw him in because we have the partnership with AEW, so we gotta do something, right? No, like go there. You know, I don't like using the phrase too much of like, you don't go here, but most of the time that's how what do you call it? Uh New Japan and like AEW makes me feel like, bro, you don't go here, but yet then you're winning here, and it's like, what's here? What, like, all the roster have been there for years, and like went through so much torturous stuff and one. Oh, and New Japan got what, sir? You haven't been here. What do you mean you could beat this New Japan guy? Um, that's my little mini rant. I'll be right back. And then I think we should good, but I'll be right back. Hello.
Hello.
Okay, good. I can hear. Cool. So I have no idea what we're going to talk about. So most like you're going to be leading. I just know it's an AEW talk. The last post you saw, what I put on IG, and like well, first of all, ladies and gentlemen, Courtney's here.
Hi. Hello.
um, Hold on, my internet better not fuck up. But
Um,
yes, so
I had that issue last night when I was streaming. I had that issue.
yeah, let me grab my Ethernet cord. Um, so let's let's just hope that it doesn't do anything while I do this. Okay, cool. We're still good. Okay. Well, again, Courtney, welcome to the Square Circle podcast. Um, Ladies and gentlemen of the chat, whether you see this live or VOD, it's me, Marie Shadows, and Courtney. And I guess we're talking about AEW and probably some stuff that I posted on Instagram and how wild some, chatters on Twitter want to be. And I have no idea where we're going to start. So I guess start us off.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you follow me on Women's Wrestling Talk, I just did a 4-hour live stream where they went to the movies for Summer Blockbuster. But it was successful because I survived. I don't know how I managed to stay awake, but 4 hours, I will say, there was a lot of thrills, there was a lot of action, suspense, mysteries, did keep up with the theme of summer blockbusters, and it also kind of did what it needed to do to get ready for All in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I do think there is a lot of things that are going to be happening in a couple of weeks, most specifically on the World Heavyweight title, because I feel like there is a lot more to shake up with Hangman. Because I feel like, and I was saying this in my watch along too, and I was playing along with fantasy booking, I think it's going to be more than just them two,
Mm.
because you're going to throw in possibly Will Ospreay into the mix. And also, I'm looking at the calendar for AEW because they're going to be in Seattle at the end of this month.
Okay.
Possibly could see Darby Allin. Darby's from Seattle.
Oh,
I don't
I
know.
didn't know that.
I'm just throwing it out there. Now I know a lot of people did not know he's from Seattle, but yeah, he was born and raised in Seattle.
I was waiting for you to tell me.
But
I was waiting for you to tell me. Danielson was going to show up because he's the only person that I know from there.
no, that's all good. But like I said, yeah, there's a few people. Swerve, he's from Washington, Tacoma. Darby Allin, he's from Seattle, Washington. But I think if I was Darby, I would keep it hush. Just show up, like do what Alexa Bliss did. Just show up,
Mm-hmm.
and just don't even say
Mm.
anybody. And I think that could add a little bit of
Well,
level because that could really get that more exciting. And also with the fact too, last night with the Young Bucks, I think Hangman's gonna get some help from Swerve. Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
yeah, man.
That's just me. That's just me.
That is that
That's
was a
just
lot for me to take in because like I said, I usually just go based on like Twitter, and then if someone DMs me, they're like, hey, this is happening or whatever. But that is a lot to take in. That's a lot of different fantasy booking avenues. It could happen that way. Mostly AEW does do a lot of cold like returns. So, if Darby is up to it, if his body is feeling up to it after climbing Mount Everest all the way to the top, then yeah, sure, it could happen. Plus, anyway, I think a lot of people on Twitter have been fantasy booking that like is Darby, is Darby, is Darby, is Darby, and to wait this long to a possibility of Darby doing that, it plays right into what like Twitter and like other places want. Um, I I guess, man, like I just want to see that title on the show rather than it being like, hey, it's in a briefcase, and it's like, are you sure it's in a
yeah.
briefcase? Um, you know, uh, yeah, I don't know. I mean, if Darby does get the belt, right? I guess we could fantasy book. If he does get the belt, how do you see his reign sort of going? Because then who's gonna face him if it's not just like a rematch?
I think there's so many avenues that they could play in because I think Swerve and Hangman are probably going to deal with the Young Bucks because the Young Bucks were the ones that did screw Swerve out of his title. So I
Uh huh.
think that's going to be somewhere down the line. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing him go one on one with maybe. because I know the next PL pay-per-view they have is Forbidden Door in
Mm-hmm.
London. I'm thinking maybe like they could do some interpromotional work in New Japan. Like, why not him work with somebody from New Japan to really continue that partnership? Because like as much as I would love Osprey to do it, it's like if Darby wins the title, just let him cook and just get him some new challengers. I mean, I wouldn't mind doing that. I wouldn't be shocked if they took it back
Uh-huh.
with him versus MJF because they did meet before when MJF was a champion.
Yeah.
They could take it back. There's also a few avenues they could do with it, but like I said, I wouldn't mind for them to take it back. Also, like having him work with somebody from New Japan since Forbidden Door is the next one.
That's
I
true.
wouldn't I wouldn't mind seeing him do that.
So okay, so remind me the date of Forbidden Door. It's not. It's in August or no July. No,
Yes. July is all in Texas.
that's
That's
right.
Saturday, July 12th.
And then
And Forbidden Door is Sunday, August
August? Okay.
4th.
Because New Japan has Dominion on June 15th, which we're going to be seeing Evil from House of Torture versus David Finlay in a dog collar match. And then I have no idea what's going to happen after that. However, the only people that I know that can match Darby Allin with the way that he's reckless is the House of Torture guys. And that will help Darby because whether people want to admit it or not, I do have some of my mutuals that will definitely be like no, and they'll boo me out of love. But if Darby were to work with House of Torture and not join House of Torture, don't you dare do it. Okay, New Japan, don't do it. But if he was to work with them, they could get him over and get all of that over, so that way, like, it makes sense. Me personally, I don't like the way that he's reckless with his body and stuff because I just like wrestlers to have like a longevity in this business. But Evil and House of Torture will get him over, and that will be a very interesting story per se, maybe to sort of start him off with that. So that way, at Forbidden Door, we could have something interesting where it's Darby versus Evil or Darby versus like Show. Show could probably be on his level, or even like Ren Narita, because Ren Narita is a very sly freaking wrestler that I'm like, yo, you gotta have eyes in the back of your head for him. So like those three would definitely be like the top three. I would be like, yo, you could work with Darby. That's who I can definitely like just think of. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be great. I just think that would be great if he did work with somebody within the New Japan because I think that's one of the things, and especially with the fact too, two of your stars just came back from the Super Juniors tournament, Kevin Knight and Nick Wayne, because that was like Nick Wayne's first time like
Mhm.
wrestling in Japan in that tournament. So I think that would be really great for it to continue that and seeing a lot of stars who never wrestled in New Japan or wrestled with a star from New Japan would be a good opportunity to kind of boost
Yeah, one of my buddies over here, Mo has said, personally, if we're fan booking here, just give me Goto versus Mox and give Goto the AEW title. Why not, man? It's the Goto Revolution. Like, let him get the title from AEW. We can see that partnership too. Like, there are so many avenues to go down. I just don't like that. AEW tends to do this storytelling where it's like we're gonna walk but we don't know the destination. And then like you have all of these little pathways and you're like, we could do this, we could do that, but you're still walking. And it's like, but that was a good idea like 2 miles ago. And they keep throwing stuff to the wall. And it's like, I need something consistent. I need like we need to go to point A to point B. And then if we need to make like 8.2, we could do that. But that could be later after the loose ends like get wrapped up or whatever.
it.
But man, like I don't know, the paper 4 hour pay-per-view, it probably feels like a pay-per-view to you, but do you think the 4 hour dynamites, which was like sort of back to back, do you think they are beneficial?
Here's my take on this because I know they had to do this because 2 hours of Dynamite, 2 hours of Collision. The only reason they did that was because of hockey tournament. I get it because
Yeah.
around this time it's like hockey, basketball, playoffs, whatever. I get it, but I think it would have been better if they did Dynamite on Wednesday, Collision on Thursday, because they
Mm.
have done it where they've done it many times live where it was very smart, because there was a few weekends that WWE had to do some of their PLEs, and also with some of the playoffs happening, it just made a lot more sense. And I was very happy they at least did it back to back, so at least some of the stars don't have to do a lot of traveling. They could just like go to work and do whatever. And plus, this was really interesting because we had a discussion on this WWT. I wouldn't mind if they did like a Sunday edition, like when they did it on TBS
Oh.
and
Hmm.
TNT from way back in the day. That could be something. But I don't know what the facts. I think it may have to be like off season for football because Tony Khan works during the football season. So that would have to be like something they would kind of have to do. But that's like a rarity. Like if something is like a huge conflict in the way they can't do Collision, it would be like a special Sunday edition. But I wouldn't mind seeing Collision be like on Thursdays.
That would be kind of interesting too. And then the narrative online would be that it's going head to head with TNA, and TNA is like, we don't care.
I mean, I know TNA doesn't care. I mean, there were times like Collision was live and people were still watching.
Pretty much, man. Like, that's how they operate. Like, they're like, I don't care. Um, so we still have Mox as champion. We have Hangman being the next in line to maybe like dethrone Mox. If it's not, then maybe a triple threat. And then yesterday, people were tagging me in like a couple of like AEW stuff. So like, they were tagging me in like the new unified belt, which our buddy Mo here like wanted like to talk about, because that was the first question he asked me when I went live, just to like make sure everything was good. He was like, "Hey, what's up with that unified belt?" And I'm like, "I don't know." What is your take on this unified belt?
Well, when I first saw the belt, I mean, I did like the design plates. I love the design plates and I love the bolt, but it's like, I don't know why. It's just like they didn't come up with a name. It was just like, here's the unified belt, but it was like there was no name to it. And it's supposed to be the second top tier belt next to the AEW World Heavyweight title belt. So it's like, what am I doing here? What are you trying to make me believe? Because honestly, you could have did something similar with the international title belt and just kind of like did a play on it. I was just like,
Uh,
oh my
I
god, like
mean,
what are we
like
doing
I
with
I
this?
saw it. Yeah, I saw it and I'm like, yo, this just feels like it's another prop. And then like, other people were tweeting out that it looks like the women's title just a little bit more bigger. And I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. See, I'm thinking more about like, yo, it looks like a prop. It looks more like for like New Japan kind of thing, like just biting off of it. I just don't understand why there's so many titles that are created, and then all of a sudden you have to unify them just to create another new title, because it's like, there's no story for the titles that Okada and Kenny Omega have, which is kind of like, really really bad. Like, I don't know. I've watched Kenny versus Okada, like, their whole entire like series and whatnot. I don't think we need another one. And again, I go with the fact of that because Kenny has his like, the freaking diverticulitis thing, which apologies if I like, obviously mispronounce it. But my concern is like, yo, you can't do 0 to 100 anymore, Kenny. Like, I'm so concerned for this guy. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for like a Kenny versus Okada match?
I'm gonna give it a solid 7 only because I actually never watched them in New
Mm,
Japan. I would like to see that, but I have to give props to production last night on really telling the history between Kenny and Okada, and I think that's one of the strengths AEW has, is when they really tell it through
mm,
production video and really dived into the archive of New Japan and really gave a description on each match they had. They showed when Kenny was in Bullet
yep.
Club, you saw a little bit of it when the Young Bucks were
Hmm.
there, and also with Okada too. So that really kind of really gets you understanding of the history between these two, and also really get more intrigued with their match at All in Texas. I said this earlier. I was like, I don't know if they need a title because with their names, it's just
That's
like
true.
I was like, I don't know, but I guess with the fact they kind of had to pivot a little bit with the international title, and also with the fact too because Orange Cassidy, he's out with an
Oh,
injury.
okay.
He tore his pectoral muscle
Oh,
back in April.
damn. Okay.
So I'm kind of happy he's not a 3-time international champion because like I don't want that. I don't want that, but it's just I get it. They're trying to put the belt on
Hmm.
Kenny. Okada hasn't lost since he got that
Yeah,
title.
that
Since he became champion, he has not lost.
I I really don't know what they're doing, but yeah, you're totally right that he hasn't lost since. I have not seen the production video, but I think I should go and just watch it and see what it is. But yeah, I mean, like if they did really dive into like the history and this and that, like they are gonna make it sort of like heartfelt. Because you know, even if you go and try to seek out the matches individually, depending on where they were at, the audience were like just so captivated by like both of these guys and stuff like that, and like the stuff they created in the ring, and that was like at their peak of like athleticism. And because we all like get older, stuff just happens. That's why I'm just like, I don't know if it's gonna live up to the hype that it should be, rather than being like, hey, you guys are 50, let's go wrestle again kind of deal. It's to have that kind of mindset of like, you shouldn't be pushing something that was brilliant to try to recapture the magic, because sometimes you just really can't. And you don't want the fans to sort of turn on people because they didn't get what they expected. Because most people on
Mm,
Twitter have like their expectations all the way like up here, and when it doesn't happen, they like all like
yeah.
crash out and shit. And I'm like, guys, it's easier if you just don't really do that.
Mhm. That's always the case. But like I said, I get they're trying to do it because of All in Texas. First time they're doing the big show in American soil, so they're pretty much kind of
Hmm.
hammering all the big, big, big guns that they have. So it's nice. It's nice to see Okada and Kenny. I'm really happy to see that. Now, I feel like this is like a hamster wheel because I feel like last time we
Okay.
talked about this, even on WWT, talking about the women's division,
Okay.
AEW, how they were not getting many matches, but last night they had three matches in the 4-hour show, which I have to say that's a bit steep to have. I will say
That really is.
that's a very steep to have, I will say, but all three matches definitely had a very solid showing. I was very happy to see. This is the second week in a row I actually saw Heclia, the poison spider.
Hmm.
First time I ever
Hmm.
saw. This is the second time I saw her on TV because they did show archive footage of her when she was in Stardom and in New
Yep.
Japan. I do think she definitely is definitely going to be an addition after All in Texas. I do see her being in that AEW Women's Title picture, not at the forefront
Yeah.
yet, but like in that little bubble
Hmm.
of being that contender, just being a threat later somewhere down the line, or also using for New Japan. But also, I have to talk about Tony Storm and
Go
Mercedes.
ahead.
So I did a watch along for Double or Nothing.
Hmm.
I did a watch along for Double or Nothing. It was Jamie Hayter versus Mercedes. The match was really good. The match was super good by both ladies. I was actually going.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, when I was watching the match, it just felt weird because Mercedes got the roll up and she won. And I was like, I have to look at this from two lenses because my day job, I work in the PR and media
Hmm.
industry, so I have to look at this from two lenses. From my side within the PR industry, I get they want to put butts in seats. Mercedes is a well-known name. I get they really want to bring a lot more eyes to the product. You can bring a lot more mainstream. It's a lot more easy and do that. Now from the other side,
Uh-huh.
the fan side, and I'm not going to sugarcoat this, but I kept saying to myself, did she really needed to win that tournament? And did she really needed to win all those belts? Because I kept thinking with the name and everything that she has, it's like, does she really need to win that? And also with the fact too, not many people knew that Jamie Hayter and Tony Storm have unfinished business.
Hmm.
Like they have a story that's not even finished. But I'm actually am pulling for this match because Tony Storm is the reason I watch AEW, but not because this is like way before she was in
Yeah,
Stardom.
yeah.
way before she was in Timeless. But I am definitely pulling for them. I know a lot of people want them to be in the main event because with the fact Tony Khan did not make Mariah May and Tony Storm the main event at Revolution.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I am pulling for both ladies. I definitely want them to show. I mean, I would love to see the main event, but I always say, like, if you really brought it, if it can be on the exact level as what you did with Tony and Mariah May, because that story was built.
That really was.
Okay, then we could get somewhere with this. Because I'm always all in for
Yeah, yeah.
women main eventing. It's just I need a purpose, I need a
Yes.
story, I need like an investment.
Yes. Totally agree with that.
But we're gonna see what happens because I know Tony got the upper hand last week, Mercedes got the upper hand last night. They're gonna go to Mexico next week, and Mercedes is gonna challenge the CMLL Women's Champion.
Yeah, I saw that. I just wanted to back up just a tiny bit because I know that like online there's that discourse of like, um, it's 50-50. We're just going to say it's 50-50 because I don't even know, but it would be easier to have it that way in our mindset that it's 50-50 when it comes to the online discourse of like, who should main event, right? I do understand that sometimes on Twitter, you might get those bots that will be like, women should 100% main event. It doesn't matter. And then you get the other bots where it's like men should main event no matter what, but those are bots, right? But for us to have like a real conversation about this, because I'm like, half and half, half and half. As long as you give me a good story where people are talking about it, it should technically maybe become the main event, right? Or we could do a co-main event because both of those stories, whatever it is, and I'm like really, really generalizing this, are captivating the audiences not only on social media where that's like the biggest sort of voice that we have in this day and age, but also like merchandise sales, who's going on radio shows, who's doing a PR tour. That should matter into thinking about how to do the match card and how to do the booking and stuff like that. But if it's like stories that are just half-ass, then no, because eventually the money that they're getting on their check, that return on investment should like show through with every other metric there is. And there's sometimes a discourse online that like people just don't understand. But like I think we can agree that nobody should just main event for the sake of main eventing. It should be for like the story because we want to see this story either end or give us a curveball to like throw in there and then bam, we keep going with it. I do think that at the time of Mariah May and Tony Storm, because even though they did like a part two to their story, I think part one was just perfectly done and they didn't need a part two. But for the sake of this, um, I think more people were talking about the part two of Tony Storm and Mariah May more than like John Moxley and whatever the fuck he's doing. And I think at that point,
Yeah.
I think they should have took center stage to be the main event because we were talking about it more and more and more and more rather than like John Moxley. Every time there's something about John Moxley, me included, I'll be like, yo, what are we doing, sir? There'll be more negativity with that versus like Tony Storm and Mariah May. But yeah, I wanted to just mention that because like sometimes nobody really has like a good conversation as to like why should it only just be that, like what else do you think about, like what other ideas do you have? But then again, we're talking to bots on Twitter, so most of the people
It's so hard.
it is
I know. It's so hard. Like all these, I call them little narcs out there because they have nothing better to do. And it's like they don't understand like the bigger picture. Like for me, I'd love to, but it's like you got to give me some kind of investment. And that's why the last couple weeks on my watch along, I just feel like something is going to increase a lot more with Moxley and Hangman. It's not going to be the two of them
mhm.
again. I think they're going to include a lot of different players, and I think this is going to be the time where people in Team AEW really need to come together because this is more than just the AEW World Heavyweight title. This is like supremacy
Yeah.
at its finest because the Death Rider has been running terrors the last couple of months. And also, last night, Chris Statlander was talking to Wheeler Yuta
Oh,
because the two of them were in the Best Friends
okay.
together. and apparently she had a stare down with Marina Shafir.
Okay.
Because I said Willow and Marina Shafir need to have a match at All in Texas because that weekend, and also with the fact too, All In is colliding with NXT's Great American
Mm-hmm.
Bash and Saturday night's main event. I think they need to have more than one women's
Of course.
match in that card. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about the pre-show; it's the main match card. They need to have at least have more than one. That's why I think Marina and Willow needs to happen one on
Yeah.
one. Um, I think Tekla and JB Hater could happen at All In Texas because that would be a really good match to showcase them too. And I think they do have a story they can continue on probably
Mm-hmm.
onto Forbidden Door after All in Texas, which I wouldn't mind seeing, especially since it's going to be in Jamie's home country of the UK.
Yeah. I mean, I would like AEW to show off more of the women rather than them like getting these like weird placements, and then there's only just a few handful like women's matches because you know okay, again, ladies and gentlemen, I don't like to do the whole thing but WWE thing, but like to take something from WWE to showcase all the women, even if they're not having a match, let them be in like the backstage segments, like the weird little like angles that the camera is like, yo, they're talking over there, but here's like the main subject. Like you even though like we'll say on Twitter, yo, why are you copying WWE? But like they need to start implementing that to showcase the roster that they have because it really is unfair that they keep signing a lot of male and female wrestlers, barely use them. They're on the couch. They're doing other things outside of wrestling, which is like it's okay, but at the same time, it's like you were paid to wrestle. But like they just got to start using their environment, using the cameras, getting a showrunner, so that way the women could feel like, yes, this is an AEW women's division, rather than us sitting here and I'm asking you, hey, is this girl in AEW? You know, like I don't want to do that. But AEW can take that from WWE, put a little spin on their own little thing, or just bring back vlogs because I wanted to mention this like before, even like on Twitter, I wanted to have a discussion about it, but I think that the vlogging aspect was AEW's biggest strength when it came to creating AEW, creating the characters, creating the mini stories, and YouTube it's free. You make content for YouTube, you can get paid, with YouTube. If the reports ever like go through with Warner Bros. Discovery and whatnot, and how they're like going to be splitting stuff, and how we saw that apparently the CEO was like, "Oh, sports is not really like our main concern because it doesn't really get much like views and stuff like that." However he put it, I'm paraphrasing. Like, don't come after me, but the idea is that like if there's any sort of danger, just ink a deal with YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Like just ink a
Yeah.
deal with them, and then like it'll be a lot more better because a lot more people are on YouTube like 24/7, like background noise, no background noise. All of the AEW influencers that are out there are on YouTube, so like why not take advantage of that? WWE is taking advantage of influencers a different way. AEW could be the other way, the alternative. But AEW don't listen to us, so never mind. Take us back to what we were talking about.
They should. They should. For somebody that's worked with influencers, and this is nothing against WWE. I
Mm-hmm.
just can't stand it when they try to bring in influencers. At least let them know what the product is.
Yeah.
At least let them know what wrestling is. It bothers me on some of the influencers WWE brings in. It's like they don't even know who Cody Rhodes is.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have no clue on who Seth Rollins
Yeah.
is. They only know him because through Becky.
Yep. Which is kind
And
of
that
sad.
really irks me. It really, really irks me. And especially Roman Reigns, and it's like they put the one up and that's
Yeah,
it.
that's it.
It's like
That's all I know. That's all. It bothers me too. Don't worry, man. Like
that's why, like, if they're gonna do influencers right, at least have some people understand the product.
yeah.
Understand
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this, and I could definitely confirm what you're saying because when I worked at WWE in 2018 on the WWE network, it was exactly that. I was just like, you hire people that don't know the product, and I'm there like, I'm the only one here that like knows all this history, all this stuff and whatnot. And I just hear conversations and I'm like, why are you here? So yes, I can confirm and back that up that sometimes when they hire people, it's just like you need to know the product. I understand that they have, well, actually, the ones that they hired didn't really have like a background in any of that stuff because you really didn't need to know much about working SEO, even though SEO for everyone out there is search engine optimization. You really didn't need to know, but you should have known the product because that's what you're watching 24/7 and like 5 days a week, 8 hours in a cubicle, watching the product and putting in searchable words for the WWE network for it to thrive. And then all of a sudden, like some of these people that I hear, I'm like, "Hello, you didn't know that? Like, what are you talking about here?" God,
It's it's crazy. That's why like that's why I'm trying to push myself. That's why like at WWT they're trying to push me. Say, Courtney, you need to work at AEW. I'm like, hey, Tony Khan.
yeah.
Tony Khan. But
I think your
I
video
think
froze,
there is a
but I
lot.
heard you. Oh no, I think we're
I'm
good.
here.
We're good. We're
Okay.
good. We're good. Yeah, yeah, you're good. Um, yeah, man. I mean, even if you did work at AEW, which I'm always for like people wanting to like pursue their, whatever dream they have and whatever they want to do. I just don't know if like you'll be
I
listened to
know.
just because it feels like it has to be hands on and it has to be like you would have to be like in the click when you're like when all you're gonna do is talk very very professional and you're gonna be like, hey, I don't think that's a good idea for X, Y, and Z, and here are my reasons why, and you're gonna go in depth and you're gonna give them like a 15-page report and they're gonna be like, no, I don't like her. And you're just there like, I'm just doing my job. This I'm giving you scenarios as to why it wouldn't work because of social media. This we could probably end up in a lawsuit. We could do this. We could get sued. We could get a cease and desist. Like, come on, guys. I could just see it. I could just see it if you got hired and you're like, hey, we gotta change some stuff because we gotta look out for like this kind of bullshit because it's bullshit.
Yeah.
I can
And
see
also
that.
for that too, like getting a lot more media opportunities for all your stars. Like getting them out there to present the brand,
Yeah.
like entering a mainstream. Because that's something that kind of does tick me off because that's my day job. I do PR, I do media. That's my day job, and it's like you're not getting all your stars, but it's so hard because some of them are doing stuff, but it's not like publicized. Like Deanna Purrazzo did a
Yeah.
celebrity poker tournament on her socials.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did not know that
I
either.
did
I
not
was
even
like,
know that
oh,
until
I was like, oh, she just posted that. And also, I
yeah,
follow
yeah.
Anthony Bowens, and he's going to be part of Pride Parade this year. He didn't do it last year because last June was Forbidden Door.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's so many angles that they could do with, and it's just like,
It really is. It feels like an indie. It still feels like an indie promotion where like they go out and do whatever they want to do and they go and promote it on their own socials, hoping that like it'll get picked up rather than like having AEW do it. And I understand that like AEW doesn't have the same backing or like machinery in a way as like WWE where it's so like machine oriented. You know exactly what's happening on like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but like for AEW, it's like you guys need to get a little bit more better at it. But then again, everything is just it's just a mess. It just really is. I don't know what else they can do to like get back on track. But it does feel like a project that is just fan made, but not the fan made that's like the good kind where like you're like, oh, let's do all the support or whatnot. It's more like it's fan made, it's out there, somebody will eventually see it and hopefully it like kicks off. And I know some people might like, push back on me on that because it's been 6 years, but seriously, 6 years.
here we are. But I mean, I'm not throwing the coffin because I actually want them to succeed. It's just they need to go through growing
Same.
pains. They just need to go through growing pains because, like, I mean, I'm still gonna watch the product, but I gotta provide like constructive feedback on this because, like, if
Yeah.
they can do better, it's just they just need to grow.
Yeah. So let's circle back onto, because we were talking about the
ATC.
women. You mentioned Thekla, because like Thekla is really good in her storytelling. She has a really good look. She has like a really good storytelling ability, and like she was really hated, right? Because we gotta keep it kayfabe, guys. Hated over in Stardom, and attacking the president of Stardom, and doing all this stuff, and having her like little tag team partner with Clark Connors, and they did a whole like nice little tag team thing over there, and it was fantastic. And I'm like, it needs to be on a bigger stage. I just don't want her to like get lost in the shuffle with everybody. And I recently saw like a little mini video of like she defeated I'm probably gonna mess up her name. You're probably gonna have to help me, but like Queen Amanada.
Amanada. Queen Amanada.
Okay, good. I got it. Okay. Like I saw a video of Thekla winning the match via submission, and then apparently I'm just nickname her Miss Queen, rolled out the ring and like walked off without even like selling. And somebody was questioning, like, why is this happening? I think that Miss Queen is also lost in the shuffle too in AEW when like she's good. Do you see her turning heel? Do you see that this was like, she's like fed up with her booking? Like, I don't know. Give me some insight about this.
It's really interesting because I noticed this outside of Mercedes and Marina Shafir, there's not that many strong heels in the women's division. There's not that many.
That's true. Okay.
There is not that many. I just realized it because
True.
outside of that, it's like, hmm, that is pretty interesting, and I think it would be best for her because Tekla looks like a very strong heel that she could play.
Yeah.
I actually wouldn't mind seeing Queen Amanada be healed, to be honest with you. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I still love her either way. I wouldn't mind that. I know Julia Hart, she's the heel, but the fans love her. They
Mm-hmm.
love her so much, even though she's a heel. But I think that's something is just figuring out like who are your top heels, who are your top babies. Because in the women's division, outside of Tony, I could see
Mm-hmm.
Willow and Mina Shirokana as your top three baby faces.
Yeah.
And
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 then
also
our
and also
heels.
and also I'll
Yeah.
throw in Harley Cameron too. Because now the fans love
Oh yeah.
Harley.
Yeah. Imagine the day she turns heel. It's gonna be glorious.
Fabulous.
It would, man. Yeah, Harley is a, I watch her from afar, and like all the stuff that she does. She has so much talent. She knows what she's doing in the business. Yeah, just imagine she turns heel. But this is where like you gotta have a sit down conversation with like everybody that's on the women's roster to sort of be like collectively, what are we gonna do? Individually, what are we gonna do? Because it's just kind of weird how we're just like rotating between the same women, but they're not progressing. And we could say the same thing for the men. So for those out there listening, don't worry, like it's also men too. But like it just feels like they're not progressing as they should, even though we're talking about the same people. Like, some matchups feel kind of like not all there. Like I understand a little bit why we had Willow versus Marina, and both of them were in the Anarchy in the Arena kind of deal. I get it, but like, I don't know, man. Like Marina, obviously she's a tough girl, a fighter, but it just comes across as like you got to stop pretending to be the character. You got to be like the character that you are. Willow's a sweetheart, but she does have a mean streak. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like sometimes talking about like the women's division, I can't pinpoint or place exactly how I want to like position them. If we talk about like in the storyboard, I really can't do that, but I could do it with WWE.
I think that's something that kind of really do there because especially with that and also with the fact too because the reason I said like Marina and Willow need to have it all in Texas, they've been going at it for months. And also with the fact too with the Death Riders and also with Team AEW, they actually have a female that fans can get behind, which
Mm-hmm.
is Willow, because at least okay, that could be something. But then, like I said, she's dealing with this thing with Chris Statlander,
Yeah.
Also another thing to consider. So I don't even know what's what because Willow's trying to handle Marina, and then we see Chris Statlander talking with the Yuta and having to stand out with her. So it's like, I mean, what are we going with this? What are we doing with
Which
it?
by Yeah, which by the way, something like that can work on paper. You just got to have someone to direct it and like, steer the ship. Like, you know, um to bring up Mariah May versus Tony Storm, and we know that RJ City, was helping out behind the scenes with that and like writing that part and stuff like that. Why is he not involved in any of the other women that need help with their story? It doesn't like Willow, Chris, and Marina doesn't have to feel like a Mariah, Tony, and
Yep.
Mina kind of deal. But it like if he could just sort of direct the ship for it to make sense, why is he not being hands on with any other women other than like maybe whoever they gave him? Like I don't know. I want the best for all the women. I want you know people to feel confident when they're like AEW has, a good women's division and these are the stories and we could go back and look at it. But at this rate, it's like I don't even know. I'm with you in the same boat to be like, I don't know anymore.
I don't know either. So that's something. And also too, like if you saw my watch along last night, said was on it yesterday because Mercedes and Tony are gonna face, and I will say this: if she wins 7 belts, I don't know. I mean, I'm still gonna watch AEW, but it's like if there's one belt I want her to drop, it's the TBS. Rest of the belts,
Yeah,
I don't care for.
that
One
has not
belt,
really been defended.
one belt. And the crazy part about it is the only woman she has not faced is Thunder Rosa. That's one of the only females she hasn't faced.
Listen, I feel bad for Thunder Rosa because like she, as Latinas, we have a mouth on us. We like stand up for what we believe in. We're like headstrong people and stuff like that. So like I feel bad for Thunder because like Thunder came in hot, like very very hot, very the way that she is, and then all of a sudden getting injured in her lower back, and then like just floating around and whatnot. And I feel so bad because I don't even know how well her promotion is doing. Because it
Yeah,
was doing great when she was like really up there and fighting Britt Baker, and that was a damn good match. That lights out match. But then all of a sudden, it's like what else? What else is she doing? She also had the incident, even though it's not her fault, of when she had the chair and it was Penelope Ford and Megan Bain, and they like no sold her, and she was trying to be like, guys, you're supposed to like roll out the ring. What the fuck are you doing? Kind of deal. Like I
and
just feel so
also
bad for Thunder Rosa.
and also she had a concussion. She just came back from being cleared.
Oh, damn. I don't know, man, but I feel bad for Thunder Rosa. Luckily, she came back. She should be okay. Concussions are like nothing to mess with, guys. But yeah, I don't know. I almost every women's wrestler in AEW feels like they're getting ducked by like Mercedes and her like just getting all these belts. By the way, the Owen Hart belt, nobody has to defend that, right? That's sort of like the trophy. Okay, but she just walks around with it to be like, oh my god, I won.
Yeah,
Yeah. After a while in New Japan Pro Wrestling, they stopped like walking around with like the trophies.
yeah,
It's press for the day of, and then maybe for like 2 weeks in, it's like, yeah, remember this? I have this, and then like that's it. It just stays
hmm
home. Man, I don't know, man. I really don't want Mercedes to win more titles because then everybody else doesn't like elevate from that, especially if someone keeps winning. She could have made like a good legacy on just a TBS title, but she did drop the New Japan Strong title, which is kind of like, okay,
Un-
if we're doing that, oh what?
unfortunately, I will say this: she didn't get pinned.
I know
Fortunately,
she
she's
didn't
still
get
undefeated.
pinned.
I know. I had to remind people that because I'm like,
I mean, it got dropped anyway. She was the last person to hold it, no
I
matter if she
know.
got pinned.
Unfortunately, her streak is still undefeated, so it's like she didn't take a loss.
Yeah,
Which
that's
really kind of stinks.
That's true. That's true. I'll that's true. But yeah, like, I just don't know what any of this means because it's just like you're not giving me enough information to be like, let me go along on this ride. Okay, she dropped the strong belt over to the new girl, which I think no, Mina, no, not Mina,
AZM.
AZM. Okay, uh, there's no video on what AZM is doing, or she wants to hold a press conference and be like, I got the belt now. Like you got to take us on this journey. If any wrestling promoter out there is listening, you want to be the writer as long as the booker, take us on this journey. Tony Khan can hit up Stardom and be like, hey, we need AZM to do a video on like, what she's gonna do next or something. Like, I don't know. This is just me just thinking off of like ideas off the top of my head. Like these are just very simple things, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing her journey and like who she's gonna be, and also, like I said, after all, in Texas, Forbidden Door is right around the corner. I
Yeah,
shocked to see her she did participate in that and just see her contribution, or even if she made like a small appearance at all in Texas, just
that's
small,
true.
nothing heavy.
But yes, I have no idea. I mean, most of the time people take a vacation and it's totally cool to take a vacation. But other than that, so we talked a lot about the women, all the pay-per-views that are coming up. I put out a video going over the kayfabe problem that we have in basically in the New Japan community, where like they're still keeping strong with kayfabe, and I'm like, you really can't do that, especially with Gabe Kidd going from New Japan to AEW to being with the Death Riders, and I'm like, bro, what are you doing here? Wait, you got info? What info you got?
Can I just say something? Because I
Sure.
said this on my watch along. Gabe Kidd, you are still on my enemies list. And the reason I say that is
I think I
during
know why.
during my watch
Okay.
along in that trios match, you
Yep.
spat in Willow Nightingale's face.
Yep.
I do
Okay.
not
We can talk
appreciate you
about it.
spitting in anybody's face. I'm sorry.
See,
I called
like,
that out the minute I saw it. And even on my watch along too, I was like, I do not appreciate you spitting on anybody's
yep.
face.
See, I'm not the only one. I said the same thing too. I'm like, it's the principle. Like, I don't even live by that. Like, if someone spits on me, you're getting cracked in the face. I'm just saying. But like, you don't even do that to like your fellow wrestler. I was saying, as I was talking about it on like my video, I was saying that like there are different ways, or even on Twitter, there's different ways to get heat in 2025, and he's been doing a good job to get heat different ways in 2025. But to sort of do the act of spitting because on Twitter they basically slowed down the video and there was like no spit, but I don't really give a shit. That's not the point. The point is, do not spit on people because that's just really, really disrespectful. And it does not matter if like black, white, Chinese, whatever, it does not matter. Don't spit on people because that's really disrespectful, and I thought that that was a stupid way for him to try to get heat. Willow, obviously, for the sake of kayfabe, because I know somebody's going to be out there be like, oh, it's kayfabe. For the sake of kayfabe, Willow should have sold it a little bit more and probably got into the ring and punched him in the face. I don't know why she didn't do that. Next time, go into the ring, punch him in the face. I would have did that on instinct. Like I don't even care if we didn't talk about it behind the scenes. I would have went in there and punched him. But yeah, you're totally right. I totally agree with you with that shit. Like that does not fly.
It doesn't.
At all.
That's something that really bothered me a bit because I'm like, and also with the fact too, this has happened actually when he was on Collision with Gabe, and this was posted on AEW Social. He got in the face of Mark Briscoe because they have history with each other from New Japan. Yeah, apparently he said something about his brother, and that really ticked off Mark, and it just turned into a nasty brawl backstage. So I think, he's gonna face either Mark or Eddie Kingston. Because Eddie's supposed to come back soon.
Yeah. I did see on IG on one of the reels that he was working his knee to get like his knee and thigh back up, where he's on that machine, the same machine that like was helping Seth Rollins when he had his surgery and shit like that. I don't know. I don't remember like how long ago that was posted, but I don't know, man. Everybody wants Eddie Kingston to come back, but I'm like, he got to work on that leg. He got to get that confidence back. But it might. I mean, Gabe is gonna fight anybody. He's fighting Suji at Dominion for the Global Heavyweight Championship title. This is like match 2 between them. At this point, I honestly don't care who gets the Global Heavyweight Championship title. I love that title. That title is awesome, but I just New Japan, what are you guys doing? That's all I can say right now. But I just don't. Oh, and hopefully, on the 15th, he actually does tell us. When I say he, I mean Gabe. Does tell us like why he joined Moxley, because he's finally going to give his answer during the press conference at New Japan on, I think, before the 15th. So like, what is it? The 14th today when they do the press conferences. So he'll tell us.
Well, he should, because that was like completely left field. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
he should have at least been there in some of the dynamites that were there. But I think we're going to see a lot more of him leading up to All in Texas. Also, I would not be shocked, especially with the fact too, if he did show up during All in Texas to try to help out.
That's true, and that's closer to the end of the month. No, All in Texas is next month.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. I mean, right after. I mean, during Dominion, they're probably gonna drop who's gonna be in the G1. So he might end up being in the G1. So I don't know. We gotta stay tuned. If he's not in the G1, I'm gonna be like super super surprised, and I'm gonna be like, again, New Japan, what are you doing? But if he's not, then we might see him in AEW. Like we might do that. Um, but yeah, uh, Gabe was, I said it on my video that I'm like, I was disappointed in you. And then I saw the sort of mini like interview promo to hype his matchup with Suji, and I'm like, this is the Gabe kid I want to see. I don't want to see the watered down Gabe kid that's in AEW that does stupid ass shit for stupid ass heat. That doesn't make any sense. And because he has a bright future ahead of him, and it's like you got to make smarter decisions because AEW waters down a lot of people, even though it might seem like they give them creative freedom, but it just looks so bad. I tend to think of it like you know how like sometimes when you have like your best friend, sometimes your best friend, wouldn't want you to look embarrassing. That's the opposite of AEW. You have friends at AEW that like, yeah, you're good. You can do whatever you want. And then like it looks embarrassing when you see the final edit. But like if you had a true best friend, they'll be like, yeah, let's not do that. You're gonna look kind of embarrassing. Let's do it this way. And then when you do it this way, it looks like $1,000,000. I just don't want Gabe to go down that route. I don't want like Clark Connors to go down that route. And I'm just mentioning like the War Dogs because like the War Dogs are like self-made, and they got themselves over in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And then when you add the Young Bucks and when you add the Good Brothers who are coming back, it's sort of like they're gonna water you guys down.
And also, you don't want to make business pleasure, and I could tell that has happened. WWE, not on Tony, because like I said, I don't want to blame this all on Tony, but you got to look at your circle and your executive. You also have to look at who's your EVP. Come on.
Wait, say one more time. You got.
Oh, can you hear me now?
I could. You just cut
Okay.
out at the part.
Oh, but because I think everybody wants to pose the finger at Tony, but the thing is, like, Tony gets so much crap. I mean, but you kind of have to look at like in the executive circle and not mix
That's true
this
too.
with President. So you kind of have to take a look at who is your EVP and really not favoring. Like you got to focus on the product and the wrestling because you
Yeah,
guys in the
yeah,
world.
yeah. Um, let's see. Did we cover everything of AEW? Because again, like I'm letting you lead because I don't watch AEW. I try to stay up to date with New Japan
You
Pro
try
Wrestling
to
and
stay.
like.
You try to stay up to date. I think I covered I covered the men's side, the women's side. Oh, I didn't cover the tag team division. And I'm a
Oh, the
lover when it
tag.
comes
Wait,
to tag team.
a tag team? Okay, so
Because
let's cover the tag team.
I'm a lover of all tag teams, but I have nothing against her. Where are we going?
Hmm,
Where
that's
are
true.
we
Tell me.
going? Because it's like, where are we going? And for me, it's like nothing against them. And I was saying this on WWT. I was like, I think they're gonna hold until 2025 because I'm trying to think of a tag team because Private Party's MIA. You haven't seen the
Hmm.
Guns since they beat them. The Outrunners beat them at Revolution, but it looks like they're in a feud with the Don Callis family. You
Okay.
also have Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly because they're undefeated as a tag team, but they're also feuding with the Don Callis. I feel like almost everybody's feuding with the Don Callis family. I don't know why. But yeah, Roddy and Kyle, they're undefeated. And also with FTR, they have their heel, but you don't want to pull the trigger on it just yet because they're still like kind of working that groove. So it's like,
Yeah.
where are we going?
I don't know, man. Like, again, this is that thing of like you throw everything to the wall, see what sticks, and that's the thing you go with until like something happens. But you're totally right. The Guns have not been on TV. I don't know if they're hurt or whatever, but they've been radio silent ever since. I think they're waiting for Jay to come back after he's done healing, and we might see them return. Which is a very good idea, but also a bad idea at the same time, just because people forget about them in a way. You don't want that. You don't want that momentum to die in a way. I would tell them to go to conventions. Be like, yo, go to conventions, make some money, get your name out there and whatnot. But yeah, maybe they're gonna like come back when Jay gets healed.
Yeah, because I know Jay White, he broke his hand. So
Hmm.
that's
Yeah.
also another thing
Uh,
too. But I was having a little fun with this on the fantasy booking because I think I may start
hmm.
doing fantasy booking on my live stream. So
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking about this because the Flames are split up, but I said for now, because I was telling people this 2026 Wembley Stadium, I think they are going to make a comeback next year because they're going to be back at Wembley. They were involved in the first two Wembley. And then when you really
Hmm.
think about it, because I was kind of thinking on how this story is going to play out with the tag team divisions, because I would not be shocked if like FTR and the Hurt Syndicate really kind of made some kind of alliance and terrorized the entire tag team division. So that could
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
something to good do because you kind of have to bring something on how like Bowens and Caster are going to look at them because they're the former tag team champions. They were the winningest tag team before FTR took that away. They were one of the
Hmm.
only teams that beat FTR, and also with the fact too when they were having problems and when MVP approached them, they kind of saw them as a threat. So that's also another layer. But that's also like me doing like some kind of booking. And that's like I'm thinking long term storyline because that's like 2026. Wembley Stadium is something that I'm doing, like having that. I wouldn't mind seeing Bowens and Caster because I think I didn't like the match they had in January against the Hurt Syndicate. I'm going to be very honest because you got them when they were in disarray, when they were kind of at the brinks of breaking up. But I think
Yeah.
once they start to click and have that resurgence again, by the time next year, they're going to be fine. But I think right now, just have like them kind of terrorize the whole tag team division. That's like something I would see. So, because right now I can't see any legit threat for the Hurt Syndicate right now.
That is true. Even me just sitting here thinking about it, and whoever pops into my head, um, the Hurt Syndicate has that star power no matter what, no matter where they go. It sort of like overpowers everybody else, but then again, mostly everybody else is not really built up. If we really wanted to just throw a name out there, FTR comes close to, rivaling the Hurt Business, the Hurt Syndicate. Sorry, Hurt Syndicate. FTR is the closest. Everyone else just needs to be built up. And I think that, maybe the 4 hour events of Dynamite back to back should have dedicated at least, they should have reformatted it to where each division that they have, the heavyweights, the women, and the tag team, which I think that's all they have. An hour should have been dedicated to those divisions to create story, and then the final hour could have been like a free for all of whatever. And I think that would have been like a very positive way to be like, this is who we are again. We got the time to do it. Let's go do it. It's not going to be perfect because we really don't want it to be perfect, but fans would have been like, okay, now I get it. I think they should have did that.
So that's something I'm gonna be very intrigued on what direction they're gonna do, and also just figuring out a way. Because like I'm still manifesting. Like I have a well, I don't have it with me, but I am creating like a timeline. I'm creating a
Yeah, yeah.
timeline for 2026. So that's like something to think about at least for 2026. But I can see like FTR like Hurt meeting somewhere down the line. I can see them continuing making terror and like all the tag teams are going to be looking like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And who are you going to turn to?
Yeah. Also another thing too is that because I don't know how many tag teams AEW has, but New Japan also has World Tag League. And if they're still gonna go with the partnership, I guess we're gonna still fantasy book this. But I do want to see like some new tag teams in World Tag League because right now with like Jeff Cobb left, with Naito leaving, Bushi leaving, AEW got like all the big stars. It's sort of like I don't know what other tag teams I could be like, yo, New Japan, you gotta put them in other than like we gotta look outward now. But I wouldn't mind having AEW heavyweight tag teams over in World Tag League when we get there, like in December, like November, December time. I wouldn't mind that. Like put them in there, even though I rant about like AEW wrestlers winning most of the matches, I still want to see them in there, but like just slowly build them up. Or send over Bobby Lashley and what is Shelton Benjamin, right? The tag
Yeah,
team?
yeah.
Send them over to like New Japan and let them do like a tour and a half, you know.
They might as well. And plus, like MVP does the same promo. Like, where is the competition? Where's the tag teams? I'm like, Japan,
Yeah,
CMLL. I know
pretty much.
CMLL has tag teams. They have to have
Oh,
tag
they
teams.
do. They do. Every time CMML guys show up on MOW, they're always tag teams, and like I'm just like, oh look, a tag team, a tag team. They're always a tag team. It's either like some father son tag team or some cousin and relative tag team stuff like that. But yes, totally right. CMML has a tag team. New Japan has tag team. Who else they're partnered with? That's about it.
Yeah,
Well,
like
DDT Pro, but DDT Pro is questionable, so just be careful when you guys search for DDT Pro. It's questionable, but they are tag teams. But yeah, I would like to see the Hurt Syndicate over in New Japan.
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind seeing them, especially with Forbidden Door on the horizon. That could be something
Mhm.
as well.
It could be. But yeah, tag teams are definitely like I enjoy tag teams. I enjoy single wrestlers. I also enjoy the women's division when it's like built up and whatnot. I still think that women should not be put in a box when it comes to wrestling. And just have like point A, point B story, and then that's it. And you're like, what else do I do? I like the way that um, like what Chelsea Green does with like all the women wrestlers and give them a voice and give them some spotlight or whatnot. They may not be in the main championship title, but we're still talking about it. And I think that AEW needs a Chelsea Green sort of leader for like people that won't face Monet, but they'll still be talked about.
That is true. And also, I'm now seeing it with Lyra Valkyria now. She's now starting to really get comfortable and starting to
Yeah.
feel a lot more confident since booting Becky.
Yeah, I've seen that too, and I was like, finally, because I needed her to have some personality, and I'm like, I like this idea. I like that, I guess we get to call you Bird Lady and all that, but you're a damn good wrestler. But I need some personality, girl. Like, get mad or get something, I just think all around myself and Courtney are very passionate about wrestling. It does not matter if it's like the women's division, men's division. We just love story. We just love like good story where we get to follow and be like objective when we like talk about this and be like, well, we could do this, we could do that. We're not saying we're right. Everything's gonna have flaws. Don't think that this is like our like word and gospel because it's not.
No. And and also the one thing I will say when you posted, because I know we're done with AEW for now, but there was one thing that you posted on your Instagram,
Oh,
and it was
yeah.
regarding formerly known as Baron Corbin. He doesn't go by
Oh,
Baron
yeah.
Corbin anymore. Yeah, he tweeted about Dave Metzler, which I mean, I will say, being a person that works in the PR industry, especially in this business, we have seen this in the past, not just him, but various dirt sheets as well. No disrespect to anybody else for that, especially on Fightful. Sometimes you kind of need to really think strategy, and sometimes you kind of have to think about what you say because I feel like nowadays everybody thinks there's an expert because they know behind the scenes and everything
Oh,
else.
yeah.
But it's like, have you even been to a media pressing room? Have you had the chance to interact with somebody from the PR comms team in any one of the promotions or even independent? And especially with the
I
fact too, it doesn't help with some of the wrestlers know your reputation because you and I both know this. It's a very small community, and if word gets out that you're really being dishonest and you're doing a lot of crazy, shady stuff under the bus, then you're gonna get blackballed.
Mhm. Yeah. Um I mean, we really don't want that there. But yeah, you're totally right. On my Instagram, I did post what Baron Corbin said, aka Tom Prescott, because he is right, even though he just went after Metzler, but like the history of like Metzler getting a majority of that stuff wrong, which is like, bro, like you really got to stop, and all this kind of stuff. Like to call him out was kind of cool. I do agree that other people should be called out by wrestlers, and I do think that wrestlers should be smart in who they reach out to, or if the person reaches out to them, to just vet them a little bit and be like, well, are you going to twist my words? Are you going to make the headline be like something I didn't say, or paraphrase it to the point where like the context is completely taken out? Because nobody wants to be put in a bad light when they're talking about something when they're talking about something either personal, or when they're talking about something that we all go through, and it may sound a little bit bitter, it may sound a little bit frustrating, but the headline is going to read that such and such yelled at whatever, and it is like, I never said I yelled at this person. I was just frustrated. It was just one of those days. You can't have an honest conversation with people that want to become a snake in the grass and want to twist your words. And then when you bring it up, it's like, oh no, we didn't do that. When it's like, here's the evidence. That's why, like, I always maintain a privacy barrier. If I'm ever like interviewing a wrestler, I'm never gonna really ask them like any personal questions on camera, because it's like that's not my business. Now, if we become like best friends outside of like the camera and like outside of wrestling, sure, yeah, but I'm not gonna tell your business to the whole world. It's still not my thing to do that. So I always try to be like, we're doing an interview in like kayfabe. We could probably pivot a little bit, but it'll be mainly like, let's stick to the story. Let's stick to who you are. Let's stick to giving you a platform so that you can shine better. And hopefully, I could do that for them. Um, I take this shit so seriously
Yeah.
and so professionally that I'm like, yo, I just need to do it in a professional manner, because you open more doors that way, versus like you're gonna tell a lie on this person, you're gonna like talk some shit about this person or whatnot, and it's like all that shit is gonna come bite you in the ass. That's all it is. It's gonna come bite you in the ass. It's not ideal, especially if you want to get to the top right away, but like in the long run, it's a marathon, not a sprint, ladies and gentlemen. um I don't know if you want to add some words, because I have a question for us, but I don't know if you want to add anything.
I mean, everything you said was great. I just think it's also really important, even for me, I joined Women's Wrestling Talk because I interviewed, I mean, you saw the channel, I've interviewed countless women's wrestlers so far, not just on WWE, but also AEW side. And it's really awesome because you have to understand they're humans too. And we had this conversation
Mm-hmm.
this past week because the countless threats we get from so many wrestlers, from Soraya to Roxanne Perez to Queen Amanada that happened recently. It's one of those things where just don't be weird. Don't be weird and just approach them humanly. For me, I always like to tap into their own personalities and what they like outside
Mm-hmm.
of wrestling. and questions that they never heard, and they get so excited when people ask them about those questions. And that's something I always plan to do, is just researching on my part and really building that relationship as well, because
Oh yeah.
I always want to make sure to really continue building that, and especially on a platform like this, because there is people out there that do a lot of weird and crazy things.
For no reason at all, man. Like, relax, guys. It's gonna be okay. So our question comes again from our buddy Mo. Question from earlier statement: would it benefit AEW if Hangman wins the title at All In Texas and the Death Riders turn on Mox and make Adam the new leader? Do you think that would be interesting? Well, first of all, Hangman Adam Page cannot lead. So that's just like a weird thing. I mean, the Dark Order tried. He could have been the leader of the Dark Order, but he's like, no, guys, I gotta go drink away my sorrows at the bottom of this bottle.
He's always been a loner.
Yeah, that's my
He's
answer. No,
always
that would not be
been
beneficial, Mo.
he's
Yeah, he's
always
a
been a loner. And the thing is with him, like if you've seen his story from the beginning on how they're gonna portray him, this has been a whole story of redemption for him in a way, because he's now finally battling his demons. He's starting to come forth with them, because the rivalry we had with him and Swerve, I thought that was pure cinema between them two, because they know each other so well. And really, after the whole thing with Swerve, he was in this crazy dark path where he just legend Christopher Daniels, and also in
mhm.
some forth, and it's like Young Bucks. I don't even know what relationship they have with them, but even Christopher Daniels said last night, like, I mean, even though he's a loader, he can't fight the Death Fires on his own, and that's why I kind of said there's a lot more layers to the story, because he's gonna get unexpected help, possibly from Swerve to Will Ospreay. You could throw in Darby Allin in the mix, and also throw in Willow
Mhm.
too to counter Marina Shafir as well, and then possibly Samoa Joe, because they're the trios champions and they also have a score to settle with the Death Riders. So this is where it's gonna he really needs to lean on, and you really kind of needs to trust his instincts, because like I said, this is gonna be more than just the AEW World title. Like you need to take on the Death Riders. You need to really challenge them. And this is gonna be something where the Death Riders know how they do best, because they are very cohesive.
They are. Which I guess, as much shit as I give them, I guess that's the one positive, that they are very cohesive. It does feel like they have the numbers advantage no matter what. They know exactly where each of them, like each member is whenever they like try to dismantle people. And then like whoever they're beating up, like don't really have those numbers. But it will be kind of interesting to come full circle to have Dark Order come out and
Oh
like
my god.
be with my nose is getting stuffy just because of like allergies. But for the Dark Order to come out and like side with Hangman to bring it full circle, because like essentially all these guys started like year one and a half, like all together and shit. So like it would be nice to get a full circle. Evil Uno definitely needs to like work out for a little bit. I'm just saying, you gotta like lose that belly, buddy. And come back and like be a Hangman's side.
I think that's what they need to do as well. I know they tried to defend him against the Don Callis family, because that was when Hangman was with Will Ospreay, and then they had to deal with the Don Callis. We did see Dark Order for a little bit, but I wouldn't mind seeing them back at full circle. And also, I didn't forget the upside the trios belt, but it would be nice for the Dark Order to challenge them for the trios belt after
It would.
after
It
this
it
whole thing
definitely
after this whole thing ends.
it definitely would, man. Like, you and I can definitely see a lot of like stuff being left on the table, ideas being left on the table, and like it could just work right. With stories that make sense, revisiting like really, really old stuff just so that way it could come full circle. And I think that'll be a very happy moment for AEW fans and people online to be like, oh my God, look at this. Like, look how far they really came or come, really. Get your mind out of the gutter, because when I said that, it sounded weird. But yeah, I think I think we covered. I think we covered it all for a show where I was like, I have no idea what we're doing.
I know it's like we covered everything from last night, continuing the road to all in Texas. Did a little bit of fantasy booking in between, and yeah,
Man, to be honest, like I like these kind of conversations, even though like I don't really plan for it, because we could just talk off the top of our heads, fantasy book a little bit, and be like, oh, what if, what if they do this, what if they do that, and if if AEW ever listens to us, we just have these ideas of like, this is how you could be stronger in the market of presenting professional wrestling. Because while people online sort of like to live in this bubble that they think that WWE is the only way, it is true that like they are not the only way. Like that's also a true statement. You just got to take their blueprint and make it your own, and sprinkle like your own personality to it, sprinkle your own little ideas. If they're gonna go route A, you go route B, but you just make it look like it's better. You do, this is why you guys need like content creators that end up like creating these like universes and cinematic stuff and
hmm
using all the camera and lightings and whatnot. Like you got to do that. We got one more question from Denisha, which I'm glad she showed up. She's awesome. So she has a question. Oh, she has a question to me, but you could chime in. Why do you think TK are putting men's matches as important, like Okada and Kenny Omega and Hangman Page needs? There's no impact on women's matches or Mercedes or Tony Storm. Okay. So the corporate answer is that it's technically a male dominated sport. As much as I do not like to use that phrase, because I am in the category and mindset of that, I am living in this world. Me and Courtney are creating in this world that is dominated by men, but I really don't like using my gender and like what I look like. I don't like using that. But for the corporate answer, it's a male dominated world. Tony Khan only knows, to put in male wrestlers, and male wrestlers do sell. Women wrestlers do sell, depending on how like you market and do everything that you got to do. But that's just the corporate answer. The fan answer is that it's fantasy booking to have something on U.S. soil that Tony Khan can say, we did that too, other than in Japan. Because how many AEW fans and or wrestling fans in general that are casual and hardcore fans, how many of them are buying a $9.99 membership to NJPW World? None. So they're not going to do that. They're not going to go into the archives. They're not going to go be like, oh my God, let me search up Kenny Omega versus, Okada. They're not going to do that. So to do it here on American soil is just to be like, we did it. But like Mercedes and Tony Storm should be doing more to elevate themselves, to elevate the women's division, not sit down and eat steak, because I'm like, I don't know how that's going to sell tickets, and be more serious and be like, we could be on the same par as, well, somebody might tell me I'm stupid, but for the sake of this conversation, that they could also be on the same par as Okada and Kenny, even though they have many years under their belts. But again, for the sake of this conversation, that like they could be there too. It's just a matter of planning. It's a matter of like, structuring it and stuff like that, talking about it beforehand, like what's meaningful, what's not meaningful. Can we do some social media stuff? It's it's all of that. And all of that came from like my fucking heart, because I have to give the corporate answer and the fan answer for that. What's up?
I mean, I mean, you kind of were spot on because, like I said, male dominated
Okay.
sport. I mean, and it's so funny. Women's wrestling talk. We were talking about this a couple months ago after Gail King got fired, and we noticed there's not that many women taking on those positions as bookers, producers,
Yeah.
trainers. Yes, but not at that level. Not at
Mm-hmm.
that level, because I started to notice that
Yeah.
too, and it's like, I think we need to change it, because like I rather have I don't want like a woman there just because of gender diversity. I actually want somebody there who understands the brand and the product, especially if they live, eat, sleep, and breathe like you and I did it, because I know you do a lot of stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now starting to do commentary in the independent scene. So that's like something like I just did
Yeah.
commentary for an all women show in New Jersey. Like that was their first one, which was
Congrats.
crazy.
Yeah.
So
It's
yes,
it's
it's one of those things, and it's like we need to kind of change it. I would love to see a lot of females take on like the producer jobs, the corporate jobs, executive office, because like I said, you can't mix business with pleasure. And I
that's
understand
true.
because one of the people that you mentioned in the question is an EVP.
It's who? Wait, what?
An EVP.
Oh, oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kenny, man, like, I don't know, dude.
Woo!
I remember when AEW first started, and Kenny was the head of like the women's division, and being like the not really the voice of reason, but just listening to the women and trying to like handle all that, and then like that fell through and whatnot. And it's like sometimes you do need a woman to help out the women's division, and I'm not just saying that because of like gendered or whatnot. Like, it's very neutral. Sometimes you do need a woman to go do that, because like there are certain issues and situations that like only a woman can sort of put into perspective, depending on what it is. And I'm so like generalizing it, but then again, I'm not like a normal a normal girl here with a normal way of thinking. Sometimes I do like logic, but sometimes you have to at least let the emotion come through, any frustrations to come through, because then we could like think a little bit better. But to get back on track to the thing of having more women in certain positions, I would like that too. There are was it Bells to Bells, which is ran by a very veteran woman. I can't think of it like right now, but
Melissa.
she has her own women's promotion that's
Yeah,
out there.
Melissa.
It it's like Bell to Bell.
Bell to
Oh,
bell.
okay.
Yep.
Are you wait? Her name?
Melissa.
Okay, okay, okay.
Because
There's
I've
that.
been to a few
Yeah.
shows.
There is. Hmm?
I've been to a few of their shows,
Okay.
and because well, I live in Jersey, so it's not far from me, where I'm at. But I've been to a few of their shows.
Yeah.
She let me be a guest commentator for one of their shows. So yeah, going back to your point with Bell to Bell, it's an all women's in
Okay.
the tri-state area, but it's
Uh
really
huh.
nice to do that, and I'm happy they are adjusting a lot more in the independent scene. And I think now with the top promotions, and even with the last couple of weeks, where so many wrestlers are just getting stalked, harassed, abused, sending threats,
Yeah.
I just think it's something that kind of needs to be said in all promotions.
Yeah. I think that I don't want to say we should go back to sort of. I mean, well, you always got to stay guarded, okay? But I think that with the recent years of like really opening the curtain, for a lack of a better phrase, and really showing the fans like, hey, this is the behind the scenes stuff. This is what I do. These are this is that, and whatnot. People have taken upon themselves to think like they get full, complete access to these people. When it's like, no, that's not like, no, I'm showing you this for you to continue to be a fan, for you to continue to support. And if they have like a dream or a project that they want to do, you'll jump on board and be like, yeah, I support you. But most of the time, people are like, I could go into your house. And it's like, I never gave you access about that person. Like, what do you mean you could go into my
Yeah,
house?
that's
I do think
bullshit.
that I do think that women wrestlers need to start being a little bit more guarded with what they do, and really create more private communities. And like, sort of, if you see some weird comments in like your private community, just kick them out. Be like, no, we're not doing that. Like, lay the boundaries down. Like, I get it that when women wrestlers go over to make like OnlyFans or something, and they get the weirdos, I get you need the money and whatnot, but for your own safety, kick them out, because you don't need someone coming to your house uninvited and be like, I'm here for whatever it is. And you're like, I don't know you, do get out, because I do think that women need to stop. Well, not really women, but people, fans, including women that like stalk other women. Stop your shit. That's all.
Yes, please.
Like, stop your shit. Yeah, I would definitely love to be in some executive positions or even some writer positions and stuff like that. Like, you don't know how many times I sent my application over to WWE and whatnot, but I'm very grateful for all the opportunities that like I've ever had working at WWE, and then like, them letting me go, and then doing the podcast and getting the opportunities with MLW, and even getting more opportunities with MLW, and even when I did a commentary on the indies for Goddesses of War Wrestling and like all this kind of stuff. I am just completely thankful. And again, I don't use my gender for any of that stuff. It's like I love what I do. It's business first,
Hmm.
pleasure second. That's how I operate.
Yeah, agreed.
And
Agreed.
and with that, I don't know if you have any final words before I ask you to put yourself over.
No, I mean we covered a lot today. We covered a very good lot
I think your
today.
Wi-Fi. Oh,
Wait, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I think your Wi-Fi is messing up.
Oh,
Just so you know. Yeah, I can
okay.
hear you.
Okay. I'm actually pretty good, but I'm very happy that I was here. Yay. Covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah, we did. So this is the time where we're gonna wrap up, and you get to put yourself over, and take it from there.
Hello. So the people can actually find me. They can find me periodically on Women's Wrestling Talk. Sporadically every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We do our weekly show. Wednesdays, I do my watch along, my Timeless Elite Wednesday watch along for AEW. We really much break down anything that's happening within the whatever happening in the AEW Dynamite next week. They're going to be in Mexico, so feel free to hop in. I mean, we do talk about it. We do live play by play. Of course, provide a little bit of fantasy booking in between. You can also follow me on @CourtneyNJ11 on Twitter and Instagram, where I do have a lot of content that's happening in the coming days, from when I did Queen of the Ring red carpet to also doing Wrestling 90s Con with my cohort Honey. Feel free to do that. Also, just make sure, because I am going to post stuff from when I did. Oh, and make sure to follow ISPW Wrestling, because I am part of the commentating team. I'm really, really excited to be a part of it. And we just actually did our all women's match, the first ever all women's show that was started by women, middle part by women, ended it by women, and I was very, very excited to be on that call. We're definitely getting content for that. Also, I had the chance to do Q&A with some of the female wrestlers, and they were so much. So please make sure to follow all the social accounts. Please follow Women's Wrestling Talk, because we're doing a lot. We're doing a lot this summer. We're definitely going to do that, and also I think it's a possibility I may be at Fanatics Fest next weekend.
That is okay. I had to make sure my mic was on because humor problems. Um, but that is fantastic. Just so you know, commentary is a blast. I love
Yeah.
it. I miss it. But I tend to do other things now. But commentary is amazing. If you ever need anything, just hit me up.
Mm,
So I second that everybody also goes check out Women's Wrestling Talk. It's always fun to be on that panel too whenever I get the chance. And obviously, this is the Square Circle podcast by yours truly, Marie Shadows. I have been planning a new show in the background that I'm going to be debuting soon. It's a really big project and a really big idea. So I'm taking my time with it. But other than that, I do have like, my new Instagram account, which is called Your Fave Marie Shadows. And where I post up like what I tweet about too, because those people, it's just like, oh, what do I tweet? You can follow me on my newsletter, marieshadows.substack.com, for all wrestling stuff. YouTube.com/Square Circle Podcast that has this going up as a VOD, and then also like all my other backlogs and stuff. You can become a member too, because we have that option. So go over to the join section, Twitch, Marie Shadows Marie_Shadows. I'm so bad at this. I'm so rusty, but like all the links that I'm going to mention will be down in the description below anyway. So just check out the description and comment section. And if you guys have any comments, leave some comments below too, and let us know what you think about everything that we talked about. Because I know that everyone has an opinion. So, drop that down below. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, myself and Courtney will see you guys on the next episode. Thank you so much for joining us on this live stream. To everyone that showed up in the chat, I see you guys. I acknowledge every single one of you guys. I love each and every single one of you guys. Thank you so much for being here with us, asking the questions. So, Mo, Denisha, everybody else, I love you guys. We'll see you guys next time.